And today we are honored to have a very, I would say, experienced person from different sectors to share with us their perspective. When we invite the panelists for these sessions, I would say that we really see who can give us the very in-depth insight, and also who have the heart for the community and really dedicating their life to empower the community. All right, so we have 4 panelists, and we have a special, you were from the government sectors, private sector, and academic perspective. But before that, we have a special intervention from Bank Negara Malaysia that's special invited by our Dato Sri Mustafa, and to share with us about one initiative to how to empower the grassroots tools. Right? People say, setiap kali kami nak tolong itu grassroots tak ada duit. So di mana dana kita boleh tengok ataupun resources that maybe we can assess or learn more. Let's welcome Dr. Hamin, the Deputy Director of the Finance Inclusion Department, Bank Negara Malaysia, to share with us on iTEKAD program. Over to you, Dr. Hamid. Bagi tepukan yang lagi kuat sikit lah.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. The iTEKAD itself is really the program to help those B40s, ASNAF, before they become micro-entrepreneurs. I would like to start with one short story about one of the micro-entrepreneurs. Most of us are used to start our day with a coffee. But to Puan Hidayah, coffee is not just a drink for her to wake up, but it's a means of livelihood. It started with at a local bus stand at Marand, Pahang, where she began a journey as micro-entrepreneurs, where she sells the homemade coffee. Joined this iTEKAD program. Since then, the business grew. He started then to have this drive-through counter at her house. And after that, he able to have these packages coffee to selling into KL. You may have seen her package coffee at this Nasi Selamat Saleha. Now he has about 3 employees. So the story about this Puan Hidayah is essentially how this program help not only for her, but also to her family, but all the livelihood around this. So now the next slide, iTEKAD program itself. So what is iTEKAD? iTEKAD is essentially means determinations. It's a program, like I said earlier, is to help those ASNAF, really B40s, to become micro-entrepreneurs. It is a social finance program that have 3 components. One is actually the seed capital. The seed capital means combine of those zakat, sadaqah, donation, CSR combined together, which is a free money. Second, it combined with microfinance, which is from the financial institutions. And the third, which is more important, is they provide knowledge to these micro-entrepreneurs together with mentorships. So right now, there are about 15 banks together collaborate with these more than 100 international partners, which includes training providers, the government agencies nationwide. This also include the universities. Why this is important of having these international partners? Because by having collaborators with banks, so able to help to give more impact. So these are the progress so far. We have currently about 10,000 micro-entrepreneurs, from beginning only 1. And the impact, those are impact. So we monitor impact based on business growth, employment, how much they save, and digital upskilling. And to the grassroots, what important for those people can actually contribute, mainly from first seed capital itself. So by way of matching grant, we do have matching grant from the government. Second is through the structured training. From the structured training itself, like Puan Hidayah, she inspired to have this drive-through service through the mentorship. Through the mentor, she got the idea to have this drive-through, and now she even go to the halal certifications. And of course, the last one is microfinance. Microfinance provided by the bank, but also microfinance do have the fund provided by the negara via the banks to help those micro entrepreneurs. Finally, moving forward about challenges, what I can see the challenges that we have encountered in this iTEKAD program, around three things. One is having a database on those people who are really asnaf. Third is to help them market access. The third one is how to measure the impact. It's always a challenge for us to measure the impact because these people are really like Machikia who don't have this financial literacy. So that's important, like I've said earlier, to have the mentorships. So these are the 4 areas moving forward that those collaborators can participate. In addition to the one that I mentioned 3 things just now. The first in terms of selecting participants, where there are instances that by virtue you collaborate with these local grassroots, like in Kelantan, they're able to participate with those women, with Peniaga Pasar Siti Khadijah in Kelantan, for example. The other one is market access. There are banks who work together with grassroots to help those micro entrepreneurs to source, to market access to the various states. They are also using the online platform to help these micro entrepreneurs to on the market access. Finally, if you want to know further, these are the website and microsite about social finance. I'll stop here. Thanks.
Thank you. Later you can prepare your questions. Later we will have a dialogue and Q&A. All right. So the format will be we're inviting all the panelists to present, and after that we will have a session dialogue. All right. And next we have Dr. Noliza. Is a Chief of Executive of Urbanice Malaysia, with more than 3 decades of leadership in spearheading government initiatives that build grassroots capacity and accelerate SDG implementations. And thank you so much. I know that you just came back from overseas, rushing over. Let's give a hand to Dr.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the invitation. Yang berbahagia Tok Pa and also friends in the room. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, when I look at the sessions, I did not join from the morning, but thank you for the photos that was uploaded. So we had we can imagine what was going on. And then also I came in when all the presenters were doing a quick recap of what they do. And actually a lot of what I'm going to be presenting is actually quite a reflection of the exercise that you all have been doing. So anyway, I represent an organization called Urbanice Malaysia. We are a center of excellence under Ministry of Housing and Local Government. And a lot of the work that we do is to look at, how to create better cities and communities. So, and we know why we need to do that, especially in cities, because more people are living in cities, and the urbanization rate in Malaysia is 78%, in ASEAN is more than 50%, and in globally also. So I think people are always asking me why cities. I think it's very obvious on why we need to do that. Yeah. But the other thing that I've learned while doing this job is just that, is how it keeps on moving. Okay, how to make cities more equitable? we've been talking about this Tokpa since I've graduated, equitable, equity, I think that word, I never looked at it as something very difficult, because I thought it was given because it was all in our blueprint. Until I get to the ground, I realized that the gaps are real, the gaps are big, the gaps are real, the gaps are, as what everyone has explained, is actually quite crazy. And I feel that, so much of things needs to be done. But I need to... Oh, no, I think it's working. Yeah. I just need to point there. I just realized that it works, okay? I cannot point there. So this is something that's very important, because what I also realized is that definitely the demographics are very different. Last 2 weeks on Friday, Dawson came out with our latest statistics. We are definitely not growing. But to make it worse, we are growing in a different way. We are getting aging, birth rates are low. In city population, surprisingly, is also going down. People are either migrating between cities, or they're migrating out of the cities. So we must be very careful, because this kind of demographics are now saying to us is that there is no one solution that fits all anymore. That's the first thing that we should acknowledge. So I think that's very scary, especially for a planner like me. We like to think that it's much easier if we write one policy, that policy applies for all. It doesn't work like that anymore. And then now I work in this SDG space, and of course SDG 11 is a must to do for all cities. But as you know, when you do SDG 11, you actually do 60 more other targets. And one of the most important targets, of course, are related to equitability, equity, gender, equitability, all that words that we want to use, So it's very important that we understand this. So when we work in the space of the cities, we must do this SDG 11 because it takes care of a lot of other things that we want to do. And, this one changed, this one doesn't change, okay. So we know that there's 3 pillars in sustainability: social, economy, and environment. But what makes us very different is our culture. And that's why we must establish this also, because the cultural element is the one that also makes sure that our solutions cannot be the same. In an Indian community, in a Malay community, in a Chinese community, in an Iban community, it's very different because of that social cultural element. So I guess culture is our 4th pillar. And in any work that we do, you guys were doing it just now, don't start at the end. Start mapping in the beginning. Map your potential stakeholders up front. Because by the time you finish doing your FGD, then you do your mapping, you realize you miss one group. Do the mapping in the beginning, do the mapping while you're doing your FGD, do the mapping after you've done your FGD. Don't stop doing mapping. This is what I learned. I'm forcing my team to do mapping all the time, and they hate me for it because it's a very tedious process. You keep on mapping people who comes in, and you want to map what they do and what they are responsible, and against what solutions can they give. Mapping is not just about putting everyone on a checklist. No, it's about understanding what they are there for. I mean, all of us here, for example, it'd be good to do a mapping on all of us, right? In which space are we working? In the policy, in the implementation, where? Where are we? So that we can, APPGM, can harness the best from all of us. So I've been asking cities to do this now. Local government, that's the work where I work with, local government, because every city is different. Every community is different. Sama kelompok kelainan needs are different. Kelainan keupayaan, kelainan keperluan, semuanya lain. Kelompok sama. So this is why the city is very different. When you move from city to city, you cannot apply the same rules and regulation. And that's where in the space that we do in the SDG cities, because this was what I was asked to touch upon, we've been doing 83 cities now. And of course, Kementerian Ekonomi always wants us to come up with a framework that we can justify our findings. Puan Rama was there in the meeting, but we can't, because all the cities have given us different results. And you can see that when we do our stakeholders mapping, the public perception against the actual results is very, very different. So on one hand, the local authority wants to do this in their plan. But on the other hand, you have public perception which are very different. So this is very important because sometimes we write a policy, we think it's the best for them, but the perception are totally different. And you get totally skewed from these results, you know. So I think this is where when you look at challenge, social challenge always come out very strongly. And of course, the solutions are always like what I've heard from just now. My time is up. But I wanted to also reflect on this. This is very important to me because of late, we just realized that gender responsive participatory budgeting is a must. We cannot do budgets the same way we used to do anymore. Tiap-tiap tahun buat budget sama, repair jalan, repair toilet, repair this. But then at the end of the day, our gender gap didn't improve. Malaysia especially, And that is why this process that you all have been doing is very important. But it's not just about understanding your profile. It's also understanding where they are, where they live. So just now I heard mapping, but mapping is serious. It's very important you do that because you can see where the women live, where the youth live, and what their needs are. Their needs are the one that's important. You might think the project is best for them, but they might not want it. So spend 3 million on a project when they don't want it. You might as well spend it elsewhere. But what's very important in GRPB is that make sure you do your analysis as thorough as possible. And this is where we audit all this process, and we are now encouraging, we are working with 5 local government in order for them to pilot this. So we do hope, and it's the same for disaster as well. What we are doing is that this is analysis scorecard community berdaya tahan. Very, very crucial. So I think these are some of the things that we are doing in Urbanice, and we hope that through all this process, do not take community for granted. They do know, like in the disaster risk mapping that we did, the community do have a solution. They know what to do. We need to apply and formalize them. When we work in Ranau, we know that they know what to do. But we do not want to formalize their plan. We need to do so. So I think these are things that is very, very crucial because at the end of the day, it's all about bottom-up planning, community-led, and whatever our approach is, whatever our policy is, it must be people-based. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Noliza. And next, we have Kuhan sent his apologies, and he has another, he's trying to come. I say, on the way, on the way. All right. Okay. But we have another very good resource person here, Mr. Silan. Actually, I know him since I was in KBS, right? He's a very, very experienced person. And I would say that what they do is with a sustainable model. And that's why I really wish to hear from them. And in fact, APPGM SDG and my SDG Academy is also looking into social solidarity economy model in accelerating SDG. Something that go beyond capitalism. How we can leverage on this SSE model to look for sustainable financing and to help the community. All right, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Silan, the Managing Director of Paper Labs.
Right. Thank you, Zoel. A very good afternoon. Yang berbahagia Datuk Seri Mustafa Muhammad, Puan Rahma, Zoel, my fellow panelists, and most importantly, my fellow change makers. Very good to see all of you today. I think I came in, just like Puan, we came in while they were presenting. The case study that was presented to them is very inspiring, and it's something that I think I'm very comfortable to also share the practical experience of how we went through all that process in building this massive movement called Paper Labs. Now, we don't produce paper just for context setting, because a lot of people ask you, do you produce paper? I say, no, we don't. But we know very much Spice and this is very much embedded into the work that we have been doing all this while. Let me just get this settled. All right, okay, so I'm going to share with you about a reflection, right? A reflection of how Paper Labs as a social enterprise have been able to, play a role in advocating SDGs and implementing it from not just the private sector perspective, but also from a third sector perspective. Because as a social enterprise, we are in the confluence of two different sectors, the private sector and the social sector, right? And how we have been doing this. So over the last 10 years, a decade of journey, working in the space of impact, right? CSR is a taboo word for us. We don't believe in CSR. But what we make a point that SDGs are embedded in each and every single activity that we run, right? As you can see here, we have about 7 SDGs that we have covered from the day we started, right? We started under a tree, by the roadside, with one food truck to impact a life of one person. And over the 10 years, we have built this massive movement championing many different underserved communities. The gentleman there earlier mentioned about, you only need to have 1 ringgit. With the willingness to give the 1 ringgit to become a philanthropist. Yes, we went through that phase as well. With just 5 ringgit, we built a massive movement of philanthropists around Malaysia during COVID, for example, when lives were, in a limbo. We have no idea what is going to happen to our life with the virus killing us, right? We created a massive movement of Malaysians coming forward to give 5 ringgit each to buy 1 pack of food for the disadvantaged community. And that built a massive movement of Malaysians wanting to come forward. And those are the philanthropists that we built from that movement, right? And that has helped us open up the space to scale from just run and move to the next level. And we were able to benefit from some of the principles that you saw earlier in the presentation, right? About collaboration, financing, and whatnot. How to pull in support. Because you cannot just build everything yourself. It will take ages, right? And in our case, we were lucky because we first, during COVID, had the public sector coming up to support. I was just telling you about the food aid program, right? It was very interesting when ICU, the Implementation Coordination Unit of JPM, called us up and said, you guys are giving free food for the poor people. Can we collaborate? How? We have the eKasi database. We will give the database to you. We have never given this out to anybody, but we will sign an NDA and give this to you. Can you provide food for these people in this eKasi list? They are the poor and the hardcore poor. That opened up the doors for us to get direct contact with the PPR communities, right? The urban poor communities, which, of course, a lot of people have reservations about them, but difficult group of people to work with. But that's how it started. A catalyst starting the way that we can cooperate with this group of people. And that gave birth to one of the initiatives I'm going to talk about, Dapo Digital, right? An interesting program, some are aware, Topa is aware, Prof, you're also aware with this as well. This program basically repurposes unused or underused spaces in PPR flats, right? Turning them into an industry standard kitchen, providing entrepreneurship or income opportunities for the PPR communities. They're very highly entrepreneurial, thriving community living there. And we gave them the basic know-how on how to run an industry kitchen, a cloud kitchen with digitalization. And the best part is we sent the women entrepreneurs to university to get micro-credential. See the scale, right? You start something basic, but you take them all the way to the top level. Some of them said, I didn't even feel, aku tak habis SPM lah, dek. Tak apa, masuk university, belajar. Because blended practical experience. We brought university to PPR. And that spirit, that encouragement and that whole ecosystem support we gave them have enabled a group of 55 women from 5 PPRs in Kuala Lumpur to get into this sales. And together, in just 9 months, cumulative income, they have earned more than 1.2 million ringgit, right? So that was what we saw as a monumental achievement. But that is just in figures, right? But on the other hand, this has also opened up the space for them to, to champion SDGs at their local level without having to teach them what SDGs are. They took up leadership among them. They started looking for communities who are not doing well among them and started imparting the knowledge about SDGs to them, right? And then I got the notice, 1 minute, yes. So just 2 other programs very quickly about how we have been able to practice or rather implement SDGs is the a program on AI, Now, we speak of AI, all of us think that it's only for those learned, those who are very techy and geeky, right? We had a challenge with Microsoft. You know, how do we make 200,000 Malaysians aware of what AI is? We took the mammoth task. We went all around. We went to the government departments. We even took AI to universities and to grassroots, teaching them and onboarding them onto the digital element. So those are just a bit of an experience about what we have done. I'll speak later as well in the panel session, right, the dialogue session, because he's already said wrap up. So I'm wrapping up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silan. All right, without further ado, because we want to grab time for the dialogue, all right, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Rashila, a very dear academician and also a sociologist, I would say, work closely with the grassroots community. Let's welcome Professor Dr. Rashila.
Thank you, Zoel. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very, very good evening. Evening dah kan? Okay, so glad that everybody is still here. I'll try not to bore you. Okay, I do have only 7 minutes. All right, let's go with, what I've done actually is to answer the 4 questions that you gave. Okay, so I'm very specific about it, and I hope that will be useful to us for this evening, yeah? Okay, continue. I tak guna ni. All right, so the first question that was asked was actually, what is the academic contribution to Malaysia's SDG effort? Okay, from my own experience, I have been with the APPGM SDG group from the very, very beginning. We started out just with academicians and civil society members, about 20 organizations. Okay, and we started out at that time to know that we need to make sure that our country, once we sign something, we're not just signing it for the heck of it, okay, but to really make it very grounded. And to make it very grounded, that is when we decided that, you know, we've got to work with some particular group, and that is through the Parliament of Malaysia. And Alhamdulillah, by now we have worked with 143 kawasan parlimen. So we still have about 80 odd to go to finish up by 2029. 2028 kalau boleh. Okay, but 2029 at the latest. So where academics are concerned, now how many academicians are here? I can see Zidane over there. I spoke to so highly earlier. There are a number of us around here, okay? And for those of us who are here, we really believe in doing research and what we call translational research with the community. Okay, so what you do is you do your research, but it's not just to publish the paper alone, but what can you give back to the society? That is just as important. Okay. Another thing that, like it or not, within the academic world, we needed to have certain ranking and so on. There is a specific university SDG ranking that Malaysia has participated. I think USM right now is the highest for Malaysia. I think second, then UKM somewhere down there. Okay, and then down there meaning within the 100, I think. Okay, my own university, the new university that I'm at right now, UPTM, just started. So we are at about, we just put in the data last year, so baru dapat ranking about 800 something. It's okay, you know, you start somewhere. You must start somewhere with a baseline, and you can always work on it. And with that, we have other things that we work on, policy analysis, evaluation. Evaluation is very important for us. So under SDG here, okay, we have that. I'll talk about that a little later. And transnational education, that is another important thing. So it's not just within the country, we also need to network outside the country. Okay, with question 2, mechanism to include grassroots initiative. Now, in a lot of impact work or academic work, and also definitely with community, is about data collection. Data collection, generally, we have both quantitative and qualitative, yeah? And quantitative tend to be recognized more. But I think it is very important that recognition of the complementary nature of both qualitative and quantitative, it will make the analysis richer. Yeah? When we talk to DOSM, it's always quantitative. So we are working with them right now through a Malaysian CSO Alliance as well to do the second one, the citizen generated data. Also, there is a question here, can PSN maybe provide a database to list out all the SDG programs within our networks right here? Next slide. Okay, just to show, I just got back from New York actually, so I'm still under this 4 a.m. system, not quite right here, okay? But one of the comparison we did was actually on a 4-country deal, because this was a project that I work with. So all this data is available for you to look at, yeah? It's online, so you can take a look at it. Okay, we move on. Okay, just to share a little bit, out of the 4-country work that we have done, USM is the highest, and then I did work in South Africa, India, and also Germany. As I said, my own university right now is within the 800 ranking. Okay, on SDG, yeah. Continue. All right, so question 3 and 4, just to clean up about here. So specific example, yes, with APPGM, we've gone through 4 cohorts of collaboration to evaluate the projects. There are about 1,000, what's the latest number, ya Puan Rahma? 1,300 over. So where the team is concerned, we have evaluated about 700 something at this point, because it's only 4 cohort, yeah? So these are the inputs we give back to this secretariat in order to improve the system, and then it will be going down to the solution provider as well, yeah? And finally, academicians also work to help with the input on VNR, yeah? You heard about it this morning, so hopefully this will tie up a bit more. So personally, I've worked with in 2021, and of course this year's presentation, yeah? Final step to be taken in order to, these 2 words are very important, to integrate and sustain. Yeah, I look at this question that you gave me, and I look at these very important words, yeah? To integrate and sustain grassroots effort, what do you need there? In a lot of the work that we have done, if there is some kind of a system in place, because you can't rely on one person. With that, the person is gone, the whole story is gone. The whole project is gone, and we don't want that, okay? So having a system in place is very important for sustainability. Give recognition to the champions. Sometimes we are it's not quite our nature to give recognition, and I think that is something we need to change. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, I think APPGM has got to that level of, giving recognition where recognition is there, which should be given. Finally, yes, provide more SDG grants. I think that is necessary. Okay, by MOHE, the higher education, other ministries, and we should definitely encourage transnational education on SDG-based projects. So with that, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, so soalan ini untuk TPRTS Nuriza Hashim berkenaan dengan kerja yang dibuat oleh Urbanice dengan majlis tempatan. So one of the majlis ialah MPAJ, and I wonder whether you told them that these SDGs will only work if they come to ground. So I'm an MPAJ constituent, one of the leading SDG practices in MPAJ. They have never talked to me. When I asked them, they said, oh, we already learned from Urbanice. That's their answer, So there's zero consultation with the local community, whether it's for disaster, and we have now become a disaster-prone area, 6 landslides in 3 years, which the community already told them this was going to happen. It was preventable, luckily no death. Even with recycling, upcycling, almost everything, zero consultation with community. Now, most people don't know that citizens can actually sit in the Majlis Tahunan, the annual meeting of the local governance. They don't even tell you that. So in your next consultation, can you please tell them it's never going to work. It's never ever going to work if they don't come and talk to citizens and include us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the remark. I don't think it's a question. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Firstly, why we want to not to say empower, but to strengthen local government. I think for when we first started SDG in Malaysia 2016, it was very much national government driven. I think even globally also, when New York started to do localization 2018, Malaysia didn't pick it up, you know. So localization in Malaysia memang lambat lah, to be honest. 2020 baru nak mula. Itu pun for us to go to local government, they were all very, not receptive in the beginning. That is why we had to create a program, get it launched by a prime minister. You know, I don't really like to do all that, but you have to do that because it carries weight. So then once you get that, it sort of have some weight, people were paying attention to the program lah. And then when we went to the local government, memang the first time local government, they just feel that we all ni macam consultant. Even though we told them that we are partners, half of the work or 3/4 of the work should be done by you. But then in a lot of local government, including MPAJ, there's lack of capacity in understanding SDG, capacity to even put an officer to be in charge of this SDG work track. So now in our rolling plan 4-5 of late, kita memang paksa PBT kena ada jawatan kuasa SDG, kena chair sekurang-kurangnya oleh YDP ataupun SU, kena. Dan kita tak nak pass the baton. So sejak kita buat macam tu, we saw like contohnya Subang Jaya, they are doing it their second round now on their own. Sepang took a challenge, did it on their own entirely, did the engagement, we only facilitate. So yes, there are some local government yang take it the easy way. Some are more serious about it. So, but I like I was told, whispering to Puan Ramah tadi lah, kita dalam proses nak encourage, and capacity building is macam still needed. Sometimes we think we've done one round. Actually, I started my roadshow on SDG localization 2018, but till now we are still doing roadshow. Still going to the ground, telling them SDG 1 apa, 2 apa, 3 apa, 4 apa. Macam budak sekolah kan. Tapi we are doing that. Now we're working with Jabatan Penerangan, trying to get it macam tadilah language, localize the language. And working with Pusat SDG Negara to localize it, gamify it, you know. So we do have a problem. We are keeping it high level. We are trying not to. That's why at the local government, I told them, kita tak ada hard and fast rule. Don't worry about the targets. Don't worry about the indicator. Just tell us apa je you dah buat. Tell us. Kita kumpul, kita collate. So in doing that, so far it's working lah. But I would say some memang terlalu high level. Dia nampak macam benda ni is a document yang kena pamer. Which we don't want that. So I think please give it time, but keep on making noise, keep on saying it. You know, I think it will work lah one day.
Thank you, Dr. Riza.
If I may add from different perspective on how we engage these states, when we have this iTEKAD program, because we need to engage those Majlis Agama Islam Negeri, all those. So the key words here is, like you said just now, engage, try to make them understand, and think win-win. Think win-win on their perspective. Because at first, when we engage all those Majlis Agama at the state level, they always say, these people, the B40s, they just want to see zakat. They want to move up, they still want to be there. So having to engage them continuously, and now they are keeping on giving us the list. These are the profile of people who want to. Now you see the change of mindset. Thanks.
All right, any add-on from Prof. Rashila or Mr. Silim? All right. Okay, so if you have any questions, then you may raise. And also, touch a little bit about the capacity building. Indeed, that after 10 years, we should move away from just a framework to how it's relevant to our local context, our Malaysia context. In fact, APPGM in the past 4 years, we have documented a lot of local story, local data, and you wish to know more about what is SDG for Malaysia, please go and visit APPGM SDG library. Airtime to do publicity. Okay, we have questions there. So let's.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Khairuddin, UCSI University. I'd like to raise something on finance. Very important, everybody wants money. I want to ask our Honorable Dr. Hamim from the Bank Negara, to what extent we could be more innovative in the finance or using like green sukuk or wakaf system. But the money is not to be put for, not only for poverty alleviation, but in research, development, innovation and commercialization. Because we know the government contribution to this area is very small in terms of the per capita, GDP compared to the developed countries. So how could we be more innovative in financing by using Islamic financing? You talk about Majlis Ugama Negeri and sebagainya. And also in what area in R&D? I think we have to come up with new breeds for climate change. We have to come up with breeding programs in animal and talking about food security. In the social sciences, there's so many things to be done. Thank you.
Sure, thanks for the question. I think the approach that we are doing now in terms of innovation is, the keyword is having the blended finance. And then having those blended finance, because of that, you're able to have a low cost in terms of funding. So the example of that, the iTEKAD itself is a blended financing. You combine the grant, which is all those zakat sadaqah, together with microfinance, you have the blended finance. So likewise, for innovations, we can have those blended finance. We do in Bank Negara in Malaysia, we do have this university under us with INSEAF. So through INSEAF, they do research, they do have fund to grant for the research. In fact, a few related to green, they're able to come up with research and do the pilot from that. Thanks.
Okay, maybe I can just add a little bit more to what was asked just now. Yeah, it is very important that whatever research that we do is got to go back to the communities. In a way, it should come from the community, it should also go back to the community. So these are some of the things that we need to look through. Evidence-based research, which is very important. Translational, yeah? You start with something, but then where does it end? That is something else that you need to make sure. So the goals of research is so important. In terms of the topic, which is also going on right now, seriously, food security is a very, very big issue. In fact, I was on another panel about maybe earlier in this month, was on the 10th. It's about, the panel was actually on the discussion of the contribution of the late Tun Abdullah Badawi. Yeah? And one of the things that he put back in place at that time was actually to emphasize on agriculture. When people think that, we shouldn't be doing that anymore. But with COVID and so on, we saw how detrimental that had become. So prioritizing these issues are also just as important in terms of putting our money for research. So some of the things to consider.
All right, Mr. Andrew. There's a question from Mr. Andrew. Ada yang kawan-kawan yang wakil wanita nak tanya apa-apa soalan ke? So we have 3 gentlemen in a row. Okay, we try. I will try to open for if any ladies would like to.
Hi, thank you. My name is Andrew Koo. I'm a lawyer practicing here in KL. So my question is specifically for Puan Noliza. I recently attended a briefing in Parliament about the Urban Renewal Bill. I'm just wondering whether you've heard of it and whether the aims and objectives of the Urban Renewal Bill are consistent with what you are doing. because it seems very much to be majority property owners trying to improve themselves without any consideration for the wider impact of what they are doing.
Well, definitely, the urban renewal, we do need I don't like the word renewal actually. My preferred word will always be urban rehabilitation, urban regeneration. That will be my preferred word lah. However, I think the act is called Urban Renewal Act. And I believe the act is very much to facilitate very highly urban areas, you know. However, from the work that we do in terms of sustainability, we wish that every urban regeneration project or urban renewal project will still have to go through the process of sustainability. And I think even though it's not written very, very well there, but we are glad that the social impact has gone into the act, you know. So we hope that that part of the act will cover sustainability, the people. And there are clauses in the act which mention about what's the word? I mean, gentrification. You know, it does say. So I think this is where more education, more awareness needs to happen to the people so that they are aware of their rights. And I don't think that Malaysia, we are very lucky. We have so many other provisions of act. And it doesn't mean that you have one urban renewal act, you can't embrace other acts to protect your rights, you know. We have the Town and Country Planning Act, we also have our land laws, you know, which is even a more overarching act. And land is a state matter. So you can always go back to your state laws on all these matters. So the way we have our acts in Malaysia, some are concurrent, some are non, you know. So I think this is where that act is meant to really rehabilitate areas which are really, really bad condition. But still, I'm not giving excuses. The people needs to be educated on what this act is all about, and the people needs to know about their rights so that equitable, we don't lose out as a society, you know. Even because every urban regeneration should be about making the place better, not worse, you know? In terms of public space, in terms of public transport, even in terms of quality environment. So I would take it as that, you know. I know that the act doesn't cover everything, you know. That's why everyone is a little bit it feels insecure with the act. But the act does allow to unlock a few things as well, which we were not able to do with a lot of the problem areas. So yeah, my take about it is that for all of us working in the space of sustainability, we need to really encourage more understanding on what the act can do and what it cannot do. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the questions, and okay, thank you, Dr. Nurliza. It's becoming a town hall. Okay, any wakil wanita? Okay, let me draw back the attentions to enhancing the grassroots capacity. All right, okay. I believe we have another 5 minutes, right, Secretariat? Our session is until 5:15. Okay, so Prof. Zida, okay, on how the enhancing the grassroots capacity.
Okay, thank you so for giving the opportunity to ask question. Well, anyway, my question is basically kita banyak cakap hari ini tentang how we want to sort of align the next step with DOSM in terms of citizen-generated data. I'm just wondering what is your perspective on that? What kind of citizen-generated data that we need more, and how we should go about it, either generally or within the context of your specific rules?
Professional or Silan, would you like to start first? The citizenship generation data.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. Well, I came here with a thought about this data, datafying the impact that we do, right? And putting together and creating visibility of the givers and the takers. Because I think we all can agree, I mean, in the social impact space as well, right? We can all agree that a lot is being given. And a lot of takers out there have been, well, double or triple taking what is being given out, right? And the cost of that is that the one who truly deserves it sometimes ends up being left out, right? Prof. Dennison is very well aware in the past, we have given out millions to a particular community, and the challenge has always been that different departments, different agencies gives out funding, and it's not captured, there's no one centralized database, right? And we are a nation, and I think we can all agree, this is not cynicism, but just practical experience, right? Just 4 years ago, we were sort of manhandled to register our database into a portal called MySejahtera, and the entire nation was in it, right? And it was used for a good purpose. I'm not saying it wasn't good for a purpose, but again, the purpose is it's just gone silo, right? And then not too long ago, there was something called PADU. God knows what happened to it. But my point is, state-driven initiatives kind of puts together or brings together us to comply for to put our data in the same basket. So similarly, for impact-driven work, I think there must be something along those lines that must be done, right? And well, APPGM being close to the power that be should perhaps take the lead in putting this together. I think that way, the givers will have a visibility of who is getting it. The takers will also have a visibility of what is happening. Then they will also be happy to be part of the work that we do. This is just my 2 cents thought.
Okay, thank you. Maybe because of time, I will give Prof. Rashilas to say a response.
Yeah, just a quick response. There is already a discussion with DOSM to have to get them to use the citizen-generated data. Okay, a lot of the citizen-generated data are mostly qualitative, and they have a problem with that because they cannot generalize it to a very big community or even the whole country. So they are willing to have some training sessions, okay, in order to see how we can integrate both the data that we can use for the SDGs at least. So keep an eye on that because news are coming on this possible training program soon with DOSM. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Rashilas. And to wrap up these sessions, I would say that to enhance the capacity of the grassroots people is really to hear from them and then to give them the space to intervene in this system and process. And of course, there are different gaps in terms of the skill and understanding, even sometimes language. Language make a barrier about the communications. But anyhow, we are started the journey here. And therefore, this is just a beginning. I believe that there is a lot more to do and everyone have a significant role to play. And thankfully, we have this platform and please continue to stay with us. And once again, I would like to thanks to all our panelists for sharing your knowledge and also experience. Let's give a clap to them. Thank you. Back to you, MC.
Thank you, moderator and panelists, for the engaging topic on enhancing grassroots capacity for SDG acceleration in Malaysia.